Hello. In this module, we'll cover the fundamental concepts and keywords that all Apigee developers should know and use across the API lifecycle. On your left, you have clients that send requests to Apigee. On your right, you have your backend servers, which is where Apigee sends the requests. And these could be located in the cloud, on-premise, or both. The middle section represents the Apigee API Management Platform. Apigee consists of one or more organizations, also called orgs, which contains developers, developer applications, API products, proxies, and other items which the API team creates. Customers typically create one or more organizations to manage access and separate traffic. An organization can also have one or more environments. An environment is a runtime execution context for proxies. Let's discuss proxies, which are deployed to an environment, and the policies that are attached to it. A proxy handles requests from the client, executes the policies, and forwards the request to the backend server. We have policies for security, protocol mediation, traffic management, and for extensions. All of these policies are written in XML. A policy represents one step in a flow. We will cover API proxy flows next. Before we cover proxy flows, we need to discuss proxy endpoints. A proxy has two types of endpoints: a proxy endpoint, which typically includes client-specific policies, and a target endpoint, which includes policies related to a particular backend server. Usually, you have one proxy endpoint and one target endpoint. However, you could have multiple proxy and target endpoints. The proxy and target endpoints consist of flows or paths. A proxy has a request path, which is the path the request takes from the client to the backend server. It also has a response path, which is the path the response takes from the target to the client. The proxy and target endpoints have three flow types: a pre-flow, one or more conditional flows, and a post-flow. Notice that the proxy endpoint response path also has an additional post-client flow, which executes after the response is sent to the client. Let's cover what these flows represent. The pre-flow always executes before any conditional flow. Include common policies for security and traffic mediation here. You can have 0 or more conditional flows, which typically represent requests like get accounts or post carts. The post flow always executes after any conditional flow. The post-client flow executes after the response is sent to the client and is used to log messages to your logging server. I mentioned earlier that a proxy could have 0 or more conditional flows. So a flow can have a condition that determines when it should execute. Conditions can also be included on policies. If a policy has a condition, then it will only execute if the condition is true. The last topic we will cover is flow variables. Apigee has a set of predefined flow variables that can be used within conditions. But we can also create our own flow variables and use them as conditions in the request or response path. Earlier, we talked about Apigee orgs and environments. Let's discuss some more items that can be included within an Apigee environment. An environment can also have caches, key value maps, and analytics data. A cache in Apigee allows you to store data that needs to be accessed quickly and frequently. The benefits of caching are to reduce latency and also to limit the requests sent to your backend servers. A key value map is typically used to store configuration data that doesn't change frequently. There are two types of key value maps: encrypted and unencrypted. Store items such as usernames, passwords, client IDs, and secrets to backend servers in the encrypted KVM, and store other configuration, such as properties that should be passed to a Java callout, in an unencrypted KVM. Every time you send a request to Apigee, it collects analytics across several data points. The analytics data is collected per environment, and that allows you to review traffic patterns, the number of requests and responses, cache performance, and overall proxy performance. Now let's get into security, which is an important topic for all Apigee developers. In order to secure your proxy on Apigee Edge, we need several items: a proxy, a product, an app, a security policy, and a client ID and secret. A proxy contains all of your API conditional flows, and these flows can be grouped into products. An app developer can include one or more products into a developer app. Once they have a developer app, they will receive an API key and a secret. The API key is also known as the consumer key, and the consumer key and secret will allow an app developer to access your API. Now we'll discuss the key terms for proxy security. Next, we'll briefly cover how we secure access to the Apigee Management UI. Apigee secures access to the Management UI via roles, also known as role-based access control. There are 4 predefined roles in Apigee, but you have the ability to create custom roles, if any. First, the org admin has full unrestricted access to the Apigee Management UI, as well as the Management API, which we'll cover next. Try to keep the number of users in this role to a minimum. The business user role grants access to Apigee Analytics. The operations administrator can deploy and undeploy proxies and make changes to the environment configuration. The user or developer role can create or update proxies. More detailed information on these roles can be found in our documentation. Now let's add some more context around the Management API, which I mentioned earlier. All the tasks that an Apigee developer can complete via the Management UI can also be completed with the Management API. The Management API allows a developer to build custom deployment scripts. However, before deciding to build a script, please review Apigee's existing tools first. In addition, the analytics data can be exported using the Management API, and you can also build and execute custom queries to extract analytics data. Please refer to the documentation in the video description for more information on this topic, and if you have any questions, please post them on our community. Thank you.